Today on the Topping Show, Trump says he might end birthright citizenship. Disney's Snow White trailer is finally released and is roasted online because the comments were actually left open. Trump shooter ended up having 18 different cell phones. Taco Bell is testing out a cafe. Leftist Taylor Lorenz says that she felt joy that the United Insurance CEO is gunned down in the streets. And Academy Sports is recalling their gun safe for having the biggest of all flaws. All of that and much more on the Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of the Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. Tease me, you see that's a joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free Flamethrower with every IT purchase. Yes, it does come with a fun Picatinny rail adapter, so you can mount it to any standard AR-15, like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the Flamethrower button to learn more. Lastly, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by Christmas, so if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, you have Taco Bell testing out cafes for reasons. Now, this comes to us thanks to CNN Business, which somehow still in business. I think they have maybe about 18, 19 employees left. I'm only partially exaggerating, but specifically Jordan Valinsky is the writer over there. And there you can see the modern-esque concept of the Taco Bell cafe. They say, quote, Taco Bell is testing a new cafe focusing on its drinks. Because when I think Taco Bell, I think high-quality drinks. Fast food pun, because pretty sure there's, the only thing you get there's the bizarre Mountain Dew flavors that have more chemicals than you can possibly pronounce or count. But again, a lot of people love it, a lot of people purchase it, and their parent company makes most of those things, so makes sense. Now, diving into the actual article, they say, quote, Taco Bell is testing a new restaurant that isn't focused on tacos. The newly opened concept in San Diego is called Live Mas Cafe. Though hilariously ironic, because if you were to eat a copious amounts of things that they sell in terms of food and beverages, you would in fact not live Mas. So a very ironic name for a business, but I partially digress. They say that it will be featuring a beverage-centric menu that includes milkshakes, coffees, fruity iced drinks, and to take on dirty soda trend with its trademark Mountain Dew Baja Blast, which I do think of that funny. I don't think I've been to a Taco Bell in decades. When did the Star Wars remakes come out? Remember they had a promo where you can win like the free, well, it wasn't really one of those little hoverboard thingamajigs, but you can win one of the free cruisers that the Anakin kid was on. Pod racing? Something like that. But that was the last time I remember Star Wars, way back in the day. And that was the last time I remember Taco Bell being culturally relevant. But I know people still get it, usually around 1 in the morning. They say the prototype resembles a Cosmix, which, again, that's what McDonald's is doing for their cafe concept, that leans heavily into specialty beverages and snacks targeted at younger consumers. For Taco Bell, the cafe marks an entrance into a category not only dominated by stalwarts like Starbucks and Dunkin', which is so stupid. They changed their name legally from Dunkin' Donuts to just Dunkin', which ridiculous. I will always call them Dunkin' Donuts. I'm not going to bastardize their awesome legacy name by shortening it and saving 18/10 of a second. But I partially digress. They say that they will also try to combat other growing chains like Dutch Bros, Swig, and Scooter's Coffee. Now, one of the researchers say, quote, Taco Bell, like a lot of quick service restaurant brands, recognizes the large opportunity in beverages. Beverage chains have been among the fastest growing chains in the restaurant industry from a visitation standpoint in the past 2 years, which blows my mind since, again, consumers shouldn't be doing that considering the first time in U.S. history we've passed $1 trillion in credit card debt, and there's nothing inside a restaurant or a fast food chain that you need to live. It's a 110% a luxury. So it still blows my mind that they're doing so well these days. Now, his analyst continues saying, quote, he told CNN that beverage-led concepts attract younger customers, and it could be a way for Taco Bell to expand and diversify its audience. Taco Bell, and here you can see a close-up of one of those funny-looking concept stores, with an iPad the size of a surfboard, so you don't have to talk to anyone. You just have people behind the glass preparing your drink, or more accurately, probably a candy bar in a cup, nutrition-wise. Now, Taco Bell said in a statement that its new model is its, quote, plan to disrupt the beverage industry and feature innovative, that's hilarious, an innovative lineup that has become a larger part of the company's focus. In the past few years, it has added frozen coffee and shakes called chillers, agua refrescas, a green tea-based drink with fruit pieces, and a new cold brew coffee option in its partnership with Beekeeper, all of which will be on the cafe's menu. They say Taco Bell is a strong preferrer of Yum brand portfolios and has often outperformed sister brands KFC and Pizza Hut, all part of the same parent company, headquartered in the great state, or some might argue the great country of Texas. The chain reported a 4% increase in same-store sales in Yum's most recent earning quarter, buoyed by popular menu items like a value menu and the Big Cheez-It. Liv Moss has created a diversified restaurant group, with diversified restaurant group, one of Taco Bell's largest franchisees with nearly 400 locations, which has also helped create its popular Cantina concept a couple of years ago. Which, yeah, I don't know how many people want like a Pepsi iced coffee. Or like, yeah, a Mountain Dew. I'm not saying the market doesn't exist. I'm just guessing it was more than 25 people to sustain this new concept. And yes, everyone is trying to get into this growing category, which still blows my mind that people are wasting money on crap they don't need like this. Again, it's hard to beat like the 12 cents it costs to make real coffee at your house, but just throw it in a thermos that more often than not you get free thermoses as promo items. Can't go these days, but I partially digress. I wonder if this will be a good opportunity for them to expand to this new category. And could anyone realistically chip away any market share from places like Starbucks? I have been seeing the Dutch Bros. They've been growing with more and more locations anecdotally in Texas. But yeah, I'm pretty skeptical. Starbucks has had such a near monopoly in terms of like a fast food coffee. Then if you want a cheap coffee, you go with like a Dunkin' Donuts. So we'll see how much market share there is. But would you go to a Liv Moss cafe? Which, again, I'm surprised with all the legal lawsuits they have these days. How is there not an asterisk by that sign that says Liv Moss, or says you will not technically live any longer? Quite the antithesis, you will most likely live less if you just consume copious amounts of our beverages and our food. The ultimate irony, perhaps, but interesting concept. We'll see how it rolls out in 2025. But let me know in the comments. Is that something you would actually, partake in? Would you enjoy it? Let me know, because as always, be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Going over to the Cultural podcast, you have Taylor Lorenz saying that she is filled with joy that United CEO was gunned down in the street, which I don't know how emotionally vacuous someone could be to celebrate that a family man has been having his life taken prematurely, but she is going viral for this. Now, this comes to us thanks to End Wokeness on X, when she says, quote, Taylor Lorenz on how it felt to watch the CEO Brian Thompson execution, and she says she felt joy. Which, yeah, let's hear what she attempts to say.
Believe in the sanctity of life, and I think
this is thanks to Piers Morgan Uncensored, which, fascinatingly enough, as time goes by, has become more and more based.
I do believe in the sanctity of life, and I think that's why I felt, along with so many other Americans, joy, unfortunately, because it feels like...
Serious?
I mean...
Joy in a man's execution?
Maybe not joy, but certainly not empathy. Because again,
we're watching the footage. How can this make you joyful? This guy's a husband, he's a father, and he's being gunned down in the middle of Manhattan. Why does that make you joyful?
Of Americans that he murdered. So are the tens of thousands of Americans, innocent Americans, who died because greedy health insurance executives like this one push policies of denying care to the most vulnerable people. And the many millions of Americans that have watched people that I care about suffer and in some cases die because of lack of health care.
So should they all be killed then? Should they all be killed, these healthcare executives?
Also, we live in America. I know we had a communist try to force everyone to buy a product that they don't necessarily need, but you don't legally need to, you're not forced to buy health insurance. In some states, you are forced to buy car insurance. That's a debate for another time, perhaps. But again, no one is forced to buy that health insurance policy from that particular provider, too. Again, if you don't like their policies or how they're treating you, thanks to the free market, you can go somewhere else. But I partially digress.
Would that make you even more joyful?
No, that would not.
But why not?
And,
why are you laughing?
I think because it wouldn't fix the system.
You seem to find the whole thing hilarious.
I find your question funny.
A bloke's been murdered in the street. I don't find it funny at all.
I don't find it funny that tens of thousands of Americans die every year and because they are denied life-saving health care from people like the CEO. Now, I want to fix the system. You're right. We shouldn't be going around shooting each other with vigilante justice. No. I think that it is a good thing that this murder has led to America, or really the media elites and politicians in this country paying attention to this issue for the first time. You mentioned you couldn't understand.
This is one of the most hotly debated topics in politics. Again, I partially blame the government interventionism, kind of the worst of both worlds in terms of the government being too big and doing too much and forcing companies and policies to do certain things. The United States is pretty unique in that regard about having both of them too big, in my opinion. But yeah, she's saying, oh yeah, now we're talking about it.
Understand why somebody would feel this reaction when they watch a CEO die. It's because you have not dealt, it sounds like, with the American healthcare system in the way that millions of other Americans have.
I've dealt with the healthcare system in various ways in America. I don't think it's perfect by any means, but the idea that I would view it as something...
Have you been denied life-saving treatment?
No, the idea that I would view it as something joyful, that a man has been, who's just a healthcare executive, has been executed in the street, I find completely bizarre.
And she went pretty viral. This got about 1.1 million views and 5,000 likes. Some of the top comments include, well, I'm a little biased. It's not a top comment in terms of likes, but I mean, I don't read it. This commenter looks extraordinarily handsome and brilliant. It's me, hashtag the topping show at X. And I say, quote, how dark of a soul does one have to applaud a family man having his life taken away prematurely? Got 3 likes. Although I would argue it's all about quality over quantity. Those are the best 3 likes of all time, bar none. I'm a little biased though. You also have Gunther Eagleman saying, quote, trash human being, getting 499 likes. Paul Zupa says, quote, Taylor Lorenz is the epitome of the far left, insane and soulless, getting 548 likes. Planet of Memes, suspiciously. I don't know if are they really a Planet of Memes anymore? It's been seemingly weeks since I actually responded in meme form, but I partially digress. Saying, quote, I think she's been wearing a mask for way too long, getting 93 likes. You also have ME saying, quote, the left often struggles to evaluate situations and events independently, instead tending to group everything together and allowing emotions to dictate, ultimately losing sight of what is right and wrong. Could this be the byproduct of certain tendencies forecasted by academia? Gave 121 likes, which, yeah, fascinatingly enough, when you look at the far Marxist leftist folks who have the emotional intelligence of, well, perhaps of a beagle. Although one could also argue a beagle is actually more intelligent in terms of their vocabulary, but I'm only partially exaggerating there. But yeah, the most down-to-earth people I know, the ones that are most, level-headed, yeah, they don't have PhDs. They're just good old hardworking Americans. Yeah, Brian Stillwart saying, quote, we have a serious problem with the Marxist left. There's way too many of them, getting 10 likes. True. Adam in his town, Texas, says, quote, the irony in lunatics like her want a government to run healthcare system in which unelected bureaucrats would decide who does and who doesn't get access to healthcare. Getting 24 likes. Which, yep. Last thing about America, if you're in an emergency, you can get healthcare pretty damn quick. There are a lot of things in the private sector. There's a lot of emergency rooms, and you can get an ambulance pretty much darn near immediately. In other countries, you have to go on a waiting list. It's almost comically pathetic, especially when you have places like Canada. Going down more and more. Florida 1 says these people are something. They wonder why they're losing viewership at all levels, getting 96 likes. Sean Farish says, quote, to quote Donald J. Trump, such a nasty woman. Which, well, granted, I have to do an attempt Trump's accent. Probably won't be the best. Well, it might be the worst to hear all year, but say, what a nasty woman, obviously unintelligent. No one would ever listen to her, but she somehow gets the airtime. Probably something Trump would say, maybe. You also have Seeking the Truth saying Taylor is sick in her head. Unbelievable, getting 111 likes. Zach says, if the liberals were still wondering why they lost the election, please see Exhibit A, getting 185, let's make 186 likes. Because, yep, that's cheering on the most evil acts, such as murder. Yeah, that's, yeah, morally vacuous to say the least, and I think emblematic of most leftist ideologies. And not too surprised, yeah, that they lost. But let me know in the comments. I mean, we're seeing more and more people go online, and I mean, the only silver lining in the situation, which I try to tell folks, if you squint hard enough in life, you'll find a silver lining, or you'll see the glass is half full, so to say. The upside of the situation is a lot of people are publicly posting their opinions online, in which you now know, maybe perhaps you're a small business owner, or you work in human resources, or you're a hiring manager. Well, now you can look at their social media and goes, well, look at this. Now he's applauding a family man getting gunned down the street, probably don't want to hire her. Probably someone I don't want in the office. Probably going to cause a ruckus. But let me know. I mean, it seems like there's a lot of that going around anecdotally online, but let me know your thoughts, because as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have the Disney Snow White trailer is released and roasted viscerally, with some saying it got 1 million downvotes and about 20,000 upvotes on the YouTube. Now, somehow it looks like they're actually going to publish this, what's it, a truckload or a garbage truck? A semi-truckload of crap, some might argue. Which, yeah, in terms of choosing a talent, well, talent is too strong a word. Choosing an individual, I don't know how much talent she really has, but they chose Rachel Zegler to be the lead actress, which, again, the fact that they didn't fire her by now is quite ridiculous, to say the least. I say that because, well, not only does she lack acting talent, that much as well, but she also has consistently gone around saying how much she hates the original intellectual property of the Disney company. So she got hired for a job, and she's saying how much she hates the Disney ride for Snow White, as well as the original film or cartoon, whatever you want to call it, which, again, how does it do this? Well, obviously we know the Disney execs have very few brains and even less morals. They want to destroy everything that Walt Disney originally stood for, which is why perhaps they keep paying this gal lots of money. Now, we'll watch the trailer, but just to give you a little backstory in terms of the unparalleled level of insufferable that comes from Rachel Zegler, perhaps only on par with The View in terms of competitiveness. Here's a quick clip of Rachel Zegler just talking about, what was the original Snow White and what does she think the new one's going to be? And I should give you a visual warning. She has a fashion acumen of some worse than me, which is saying something. I don't know what kind of collared weird shirt she's wearing, but yeah, this is from the Disney 23 Expo. And this is supposed to, thanks to Disney and Wokeness, saying, quote, Disney literally hired the most insufferable human alive to be as Snow White, which there is no community note. I did scroll a little bit. There's no community note. I'm not sure if the most insufferable woman of all time is her, or maybe Rosie O'Donnell, or one of the gals on The View. That'd be a fascinating competition for another time, perhaps. But this is Rachel Zegler, not in the privacy of her home, complaining to family members. She's literally giving an interview saying how much she hates her employer. Yeah, and somehow she's still employed.
She's not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was
So it won't be about the actual... They're going to rewrite the story as well, of course.
fearless, fair, brave, and true. The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so.
Is because it had morals and values in 1937? Is that why? I mean, fascinatingly enough, that would be the only way you can tell. Because with the lack of technology back then, unlike modern film, cinema, where you can say, oh, wow, that guy's got an iPhone, 2, which is almost looks, basically comical compared to a modern iPhone 58 or whatever they're on these days. I mean, technology is usually one of the best barometers of seeing a movie as old these days. But yeah, back then they didn't really showcase any of that as more timeless, I would argue, but I partially digress.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird. So we didn't do that this time. I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again.
How are you scared of that original cartoon? And then how do you only watch it once? Like, even my household, like, again, I'm a guy, it was my favorite thing, but I even saw it probably 3 to 4 times growing up, just because, like, you'd have family night, I'll watch, like, a Disney film. But yeah, she only watched it once?
I watched it for the first time in probably...
Did she only wear, like, these, rudimentary collared shirts, too?
16.
Did she just go to, like, a big sale at the Gap? Still in business, right? Or Old Navy?
17 years. The cartoon was made 85 years ago, and therefore it's extremely dated when it comes to the ideas of women being in roles of power. No longer 19.
So that's the level of insufferableness. And again, that went pretty viral on X. Got 11.4 million views and almost 100,000 likes, which, everyone pretty much agreeing that, yeah, she's insufferable. Now, here, I'm actually shocked. Disney didn't turn off the comments, which they could have. And this is their own channel on the YouTube, where it got 5.7 million views. Apparently got 1 million downvotes, but only 28,000 upvotes. Now, I say that because there's a lot of plugins you can use, but YouTube, I suspect because they didn't want politicians to look terrible, well, the deep state, traditional politicians look terrible, they erased the ability to see downvotes a couple years ago. I don't think that's a coincidence. The administration that rolled in. And I think this one's equally as insufferable, but we'll see. It's about 2 minutes and 24 seconds. We'll we'll see. And again, the whole plot was it the evil, wicked queen or something was jealous of the king's daughter's good looks, which from this preview you'll see is utterly comical because yeah, that's definitely not the case in this time. So you're gonna pull up here, you can see Rachel Ziegler, which actually that might be the first time Rachel Ziegler did a modicum of work in her life. She's actually holding a broom and it moved back and forth by about 3 inches. That might be the only manual labor she's ever done. Might be historical as well, folks.
This was my father's kingdom. A place of fairness. But the Queen changed everything.
Take him away!
Your Majesty.
What did you say?
The people need some kindness.
You know, I really don't remember you being this...
That's actually typical leftism. Don't quantify anything. They need kindness. Not they need X, Y, and Z, like specific things. They need kindness. Which, for a second I thought that was AOC. Apparently it's not. It's still Rachel Ziegler.
Opinionated. Magic mirror on the wall. Who is the fairest of them all?
Famed is thy beauty, Majesty. But a lovely maiden I now behold.
Is the mirror blind? I don't know, what would Trump say if he had to watch this? I don't know if that mirror's blind, but half the movie's budget went to camera lenses because every time Rachel Zegler looked at the camera, the lens would crack because she's so ugly. I mean, the whole plot is the queen is jealous of her looks. Which, yeah, spoiler alert, she looks like a dog in comparison to the queen. Like, yeah. And that's central to the plot. But yeah, of course they throw that out. So yeah, the magic mirror is saying Rachel Zegler looks attractive. Which, first of all, on average, no, absolutely not. And then compared to the queen? Hell no.
I look at you, and I just want to be the fairest of them all.
The queen is evil. You must flee into the woods.
My parents always said this forest was a magical place. Hello? Is there anybody here?
This movie is also encouraging breaking and entering. She's going into the Seven Dwarves' house without knocking. She didn't even give them a courtesy. I mean, what are they changing? How rude is that? Ridiculous. Also, the backlash was so heavy from the first preview, like 2 years ago. Instead of the 7 dwarves, they had like basically 7 people from San Francisco. None of them were little people. Again, stealing job opportunities away, but because of the backlash, looks like they set that right. So she broke into the house and she's sleeping in their beds.
It's a human.
What did you think I was?
Nothing.
Ghost.
You'll be safe from the queen here.
The Queen stole everything from all of us.
I'm gonna need your help.
It's time to restore our kingdom.
Waiting on a wish, holding out for someday, hoping somehow, some way, there comes a miracle.
Find Snow White.
I close my eyes and see the girl I meant to
This is our kingdom, and now we're here to take it back.
You were saying.
I'm sorry, my dear. Did I frighten you?
So, I mean, besides the filmography of Rachel Zegler, is a great preview, or great demo, so to say, which I guess the only salvation is that the music is amazing, which it's hard to bastardize that. Actually, no, we should actually be very grateful. I'm actually surprised this doesn't have a whole soundtrack from Lizzo, or was that other Megan Thee Stallion, who, spoiler, isn't actually a horse. Some might argue or debate the intelligence of a horse, but no topic for another time. This got pretty viral, got 5.7 million views, and perhaps a comparable like ratio to Chris Christie, which is a fascinating political phenomenon in which when Chris Christie was running for the Republican nominee, he had 2 instances on social media where he had 0 positive feedback. He made a post and not a single person liked it, which, again, statistically speaking, almost impossible because presumably he had family, friends, and a campaign staff, allegedly. So let's go to the comments here. Well, the first one comes from, let's see, is this Justin? Yeah, Justin says, quote, "Wow, Disney, you are truly incredible. It took you 3 years, multiple rewrites, unnecessary CGI, and $209 million just for me to enjoy the comment section of a movie I will never watch. Bless you." Getting 48,000 likes. Factor 13 says, "For people who don't use the extension, currently 24,000 likes, 588,000 dislikes." His comment got 11,000 upvotes. RD Proctor says, "This trailer saved my dad. He'd been in a coma for 8 months. Then I played this trailer and he woke up and got out of bed and turned it off. Thank you, Disney." Gained 22,000 likes. GD Master says, there are comments in this section with more likes than the actual trailer. Gained 1.1 thousand likes. Yes, as youth might say, they got ratioed. Let's see, Veronica says, quote, "At this point, the comment section is a real magic mirror." Gained 31,000 likes. Real Bearded Dan says, "I'll give Disney some credit. They are brave enough to leave the comment section open." Gained 56,000 likes, which, yeah, I'm still shocked that they actually left the comment section open. Because, yeah, I think they knew it was going to be viscerally against her. Steven says, "If I saw this movie in a plane, I would still walk out." Getting 38,000 likes. Bex Cuomo says, quote, "Evil queen to the mirror. Describe Snow White to me." Mirror goes, "Weird, weird." Getting 32,000 likes. Lazy Design says, "The only way to redeem this film is to let the evil queen win." Getting 444 likes. Yeah. Cole says, $200 million budget in the world's most hilarious comic section. Worth it. Getting 5.1 thousand likes. Mamoy 4728 says, "They finally did it. They made a movie nobody is going to pirate." Getting 10,000 likes, which, yeah, I don't think anyone's going to pirate this film. Ever. It's the most unpirateable film of all time. Drunk Monkey says, quote, "Disney, coming to a theater near you." Me. Is that a threat? Getting 18,000 likes. Jeff says, "Queen, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the most beautiful woman in the world?" Mirror, Lord Farquaad. Getting 131 likes. Annalyn says, quote, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the bravest of them all?" Disney for not locking the comment section down. Getting 10,000 likes. Telling Disney the truth. It's an oddly specific handle. I think you know all about their YouTube profile probably. Says, quote, "I got a feeling this movie is going to have more comments on YouTube than tickets sold." Getting 28,000 likes, which, yeah, that's not inconceivable. It's 42,398 comments thus far. Let's see. I don't see any contrarian comments thus far. We're scrolling down. Meme comments, good name. They say, quote, "Shrek has more respect for Snow White than Disney does." Getting 4.6 thousand likes. Alfred says, "People clicked on the video not to watch the trailer, but to read the comment section." True. Getting 931 likes. Andy says, quote, "So Disney started their careers with Snow White and looks like they'll end it with Snow White." Getting 2.7 thousand likes, which, yeah, oddly, that might be a sad but true metaphor for what Disney, this might be the, will this be the final nail in the coffin? I mean, there are so many people that'll just buy whatever Disney shovels out because they're Disney fans. They're part of the Disney culture. But yeah, is that enough to sustain a business long term? Another person by the name of the Drissa says, for people who don't have the extension, and now says 28,000 likes, 721,000 downvotes. He also got 2,000 likes for that. Yeah. Was it Leaf Boyne says, "I paid nothing to watch this trailer, but I already want my money back." Getting 1.6 thousand likes. Roland Dashini says, quote, "Rachel Ziegler is a 28-year-old with the maturity of a 13-year-old. Getting 1.4 thousand likes." Which, that might be an insult to most 13-year-olds. I think my niece and nephew are a little bit more intelligent than Rachel Ziegler. The bar is quite low. Pooja says, quote, "The majority has spoken in the comment section. We want to see the evil queen win." Getting 6.3 thousand likes, which, again, the most hilarious thing is one of the biggest plot points of the whole movie is the queen being jealous of the gal's looks, which, yeah, no, I don't think anyone is, I don't think anyone in the real world, or, certainly not in that fake world, but I don't know anyone in the real world who is actually jealous of Rachel Zegler. She's one of those gals who makes you look really good at comparison, which is a unique skill. Some might argue that I have. Hungry Chick says, quote, how many didn't watch and just pause to see the comments getting 3,000 likes? Yeah. So we'll do one more. Benny says, quote, nobody has ever rooted for a poison apple until this movie. Go Poison Apple. Getting 9.2 thousand likes. Let's make it 9.3 maybe. No, but still liked it nevertheless. So, not looking good, Disney. I mean, how much money have they wasted on this film? They're mentioning $200 million. Again, you have to remember, there's a cost to produce the movie. And usually the industry standard for Hollywood is they spend twice as much for marketing of the film. They've also had to do rewrites for this, reshoots, as well as introducing CGI into this as well, and recasting. So, I mean, I'm not a gambling man, but if I were a gambling man, I would argue the odds are pretty good that this movie is not going to break even. I think, like most modern Disney films, it's going to lose money, which is what Disney seemingly does best these days, alienating prospective clients, current clients, and losing money hand over fist. So, yeah, they could not have picked a worse actress for this role. Perhaps, dear God, maybe Rosie O'Donnell? I don't know who would make a worse... That might be the only worst candidate for like a prospective actress for that role. But let me know, do you think this movie will actually break even? Or do you think it'll make a profit? I mean, we saw a lot, I think part of the election in the United States recently was majority of Americans, not just, Trump didn't just win the Electoral College, he won the popular vote. I think that's a sign that more and more people are turning away from this kind of woke, remake ideology. But let me know your thoughts are in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part of the podcast, you have Trump plans to end birthright citizenship and goes viral. Now, this comes to us thanks to Libs of TikTok on the X. Also, I think 18 people still call it Twitter. Let me know what you call it below. And she says, quote, Trump says he plans to end birthright citizenship on day 1. And Trump says, quote, we're the only country who has it. We're going to end it because it's ridiculous. Which, again, thanks to the community notes, there are a couple other countries who do have it, but a majority of them around the globe do not. And this is Trump on Meet the Press.
You promised to end birthright citizenship on day 1. Is that still your plan?
Yeah, absolutely.
The 14th Amendment, though, says that, quote, all persons born in the United States are citizens. Can you get around the 14th Amendment with an executive action?
We're going to have to get a change. We'll maybe have to go back to the people, but we have to end it. We're the only country that has it.
Through an executive action?
We're the only country that has it. If somebody sets a foot, just a foot, 1 foot, you don't need to, on our land, congratulations, you are now a citizen of the United States of America. Yes, we're going to end that because it's ridiculous.
Through executive action?
Well, if we can, through executive action. I was going to do it through executive action, but then we had to fix COVID first, to be honest with you.
And people are in an uproar. And I try to do these votes or these polls on YouTube a couple times a week. So right now, again, it's very small anecdotal, it's a very small sample size, but about 83% of people said that we should revoke that, and the rest said they should not when I did a poll on YouTube, where that was, I think about 48 people voted. So again, very small sample size. Now this went pretty well. I got 6 million views and 48,000 likes. One of the first comments comes from Paul Zazupa saying, quote, deport all the DACA as well, getting 241 likes. Democrat Media TM says, quote, Trump is deactivating the illegal cheat code to gain a green card. This is the way. Enough is enough. Getting 307 likes. LFG says, quote, what offers citizenship, land or blood? And you have, Mexico and Canada, as well as the United States, and most of South America saying rule of land. And then pretty much near every other country is rule of blood on this global infographic, though. Trying to see where they got their source from. Sources from courts. Apparently that's a website. And rule of blood means, quote, if born in the red, it means your citizenship depends on the citizenship of your parents. Then, it's a little bit too small on the screen for me to see there. And then rule of land says, quote, if born in the blue nation, you are automatically offered citizenship irrespective of your parents' nationalities. Now that got 195 likes. Rick Suit, who, as we all know, true men always suit up, so especially cool profile name. He says, quote, truth, birthright citizenship in America exists at present because of a SCOTUS interpretation of the 14th Amendment that came 30 years after its passage. To end birthright citizenship, today's SCOTUS needs only reverse that decision with a new ruling. The new amendment is needed, getting 957 likes. Smithy Radio says, quote, believe it or not, Trump can end birthright citizenship on day one with an executive order. How, you ask? Because the 14th Amendment has been interpreted all these years is extremely sketchy when you look at the actual words. Its interpretation is wide open for debate, getting 227 likes. See his contrarian statements here. We got some brewing to the surface. Maureen Williamson says, quote, he thinks he can just change the Constitution because he wants to, question mark, getting 18 likes. Drain the Swamp Fox, though interestingly enough, profile picture is not in fact of a fox. Saying, quote, well, I guess it's a black and white picture of a man, so perhaps a silver fox. Debatably. Now, he says, quote, good, birthright citizenship has been used to come to our country illegally for decades, getting 49 likes. And it certainly incentivizes that illegal behavior as well, I would argue. Hugo Val says it is ridiculous. It's a tactic used by Democrats to gain future votes, getting 288 likes. Life God Gun Memes says Trump did what? And there's a picture of Trump's mugshot. It says Trump arrested for beating 2 women. There's a picture of Kamala as well as Hillary Clinton. Got 168 likes. Got a couple. Yeah, let's see. Seems like mostly in support. Not seeing too many contrarian statements in the comments here. Dave LeBuff says, we're going to have to make some changes. The founders didn't count on presidents flying in illegal immigrants into our country, getting 89 likes. I also have Sig saying she makes the most hideous eyes. This is later in an interview. Getting 218 likes, or sorry, 16 likes. Although I'll make it 217, which, yeah, something about leftist eyes just almost look demonic. Certainly scary and unattractive. I mean, geez Louise, right before the kill. Harleen Kilby says, quote, if you watch some of the clips of illegals pouring in, you see many pregnant women. Their only goal is to get that citizenship for their babies so they can stay here. Hashtag anchor baby, getting 24 likes. Mary says, all of a sudden MSM cares about the Constitution, but conveniently ignores it when it suits them. Getting 104 likes, which, yeah, that's like most leftists. The rules, they only bring up rules when it suits them, and they bring up the Constitution when it suits them. They have no real morals or values. You also have Zachary Apotheker saying, quote, entering illegally and having a child should not give you the same rights or even more benefits than a wounded U.S. war vet. Getting 414, let's make it 415 likes. So, again, I suspect if you were to actually end birthright citizenship, as well as all the benefits and handouts that you give illegals, if you're just end that, I can't but think just naturally the illegal immigration would drop like a rock near immediately. Well, I mean, with the recent election, I would think it'd be politically favorable for most politicians to, vote for those initiatives. I'm not sure if it'll happen in our lifetime, but let me know, do you think he'll actually be able to successfully execute that plan? And granted, do you think it'll, most likely, maybe he'll pass something, play out in the courts, go to the Supreme Court? And then what do you think would be best for our country? Let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have the Trump shooter apparently had 18 cell phones. I was about to be really worried about his phone bill and the phone plan, but then I remember most of them are probably with the FBI. I'm only partially kidding or conspiring. And it is also fascinating how it's been, how many months? It's October, the assassination attempt, and yet we barely know anything about the perpetrator. And yet, hours after the United Healthcare CEO assassination, we know pretty much everything about that perpetrator. Yeah, it's only when the bad guys are after Trump where all of a sudden the U.S. intelligence agency is just completely, moronic, or they just can't comprehend anything, and we never learn about anything. Only when the leftists or people attack Trump, that's when the Secret Service and all the intelligence agencies all of a sudden don't know anything. Always when it suits their narrative. Remember when you had the trans shooter in Tennessee? Oh yeah, that manifesto, they locked that down for, half a year before an independent reporter reported it to the Louder Crowder team and released it to show, this trans shooter is actually, anti-Christian, anti-hetero. But yeah, every time it doesn't fit the narrative, they lock down the data and they pretend like, we can't find it. Fascinating how it always works. Hopefully, Trump's new DOJ will be able to fix all that. But back to the specific post, thanks to, again, Lives at TikTok. She's also reposting for Mike Benz. And she says, quote, why did Trump shooter have 18 cell phones? Now, Mike Benz originally said, quote, Ryan Ruth, the long gunman Trump assassin, was, we were told, was basically homeless, apparently had 18 cell phones and 5 different phone companies relevant to his case, plus 3 computers, 3 tablets, and 5 external storage drives, totaling that can't be right, 4,000 terabytes worth of digital footprints. That's insane. People, like, an average cell phone internal just give you, 4,000. Oh, he could have just said 4 petabytes, but no one knows what that is. Well, most consumers don't. I mean, your average cell phone, you can expand the memory more often than not to get about a terabyte. That's pretty standard. I mean, shoot, you can get a micro SD card with a terabyte on it. It's got 4,000 terabytes worth of digital footprint. That's insane. And they say prosecutors seek indefinite delay in trial of alleged Trump assassination over complex evidence. Bull crap. So they're complaining there's too much data. When have you ever heard a prosecutor say, oh yeah, there's too much data, we don't want to do this? What? That's what you want. The more data, the better. The more evidence, the better. Especially when it comes to when you have this type of mass digital data, is pretty rudimentary as well as advanced ways you can scrape that data, you can analyze it, you can categorize it, and AI only makes that even easier. So it is hilarious that they're saying, oh yeah, there's just too much evidence. That'd be too much work. Wow. Some might say the greatest abomination is using a gateway desktop computer. IT pun, because that company it used to be a great South Dakota-based company, but years later they sold off to Dell, and now they're only, thrown into Walmart. I think Dell still owns the intellectual property, it's just licensing. But yeah, he had electronic diversity. He had a Dell, and a Hewlett-Packard, and a Gateway. He also had 3 tablets, an iPad Air, iPad 6, iPad Air, and then a GB, an Amazon Fire. And it has 5 storage disks, a micro SD of 9 gigs, which, nothing. A USB of 2 gigs, a CD-ROM, going retro, which I died a little inside realizing that those are retro when I grew up with those. And then another SD card. They're saying it's just too many files. Really? Ridiculous. And this didn't go as viral as I thought it should. It got about, 400,000 views and 6.4 thousand likes. Now, I'm a little biased. This isn't the top comment. Though this was the most handsome one. Ha! It's a joke because it's me, hashtag The Topping Show on X, in which I say, quote, how many of the cell phones had asset tags that said property of FBI on them? Getting 3 likes. So again, I bet they're the best 3 likes of all time. Arthur Eagleman says, quote, inside job, getting 323 likes. Paul Zupa says, quote, because he was managed by our government, getting 31 likes. AKA says, $1 million question, getting 54 likes. Livercat Media TM says, all attempts on Trump were an inside job, changed my mind, getting 24 likes again. Rolling down more and more. Jerry says, who has 18 cell phones that isn't tied to our corrupt CIA, getting 60 likes. That's quite a bit. I mean, I'm only partially joking. I would say, can you fathom his phone bill? I mean, on average, I know people with 2 cell phones. One that's strictly for business, where the company pays for it, and the data is segmented, so it's only on that. And I know people who have a personal device. So that's pretty common best practices in corporate America, to have a separate device dedicated to the company for legal reasons and privacy reasons. And that I understand. 2 cell phones, pretty common in corporate America. A lot of my friends and peers have that kind of setup. And to have 18 cell phones? And that is insane. 4,000 terabytes. That's that's an unfathomable amount of data. And it's also great. Scrape through it. Find the truth. And yeah, we'll see if they ever get to the bottom of this. I can't help but be somewhat disappointed when I think in all reality, maybe it'll just be, the government, what is the age-old saying? We've investigated ourselves and found we were not at fault. So I wish this would go even more viral. And again, Trump's going to get some new folks in there. There's a lot of speculation on who might become head of director at FBI, the CIA, the DOJ. There's a lot of balls in the air, so to say. But at the end of the day, I really do hope we actually get some answers. And yeah, it just becomes more and more suspicious. But let me know what thoughts are in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Academy Sports having a gun safe recall because they failed to do the one thing they're supposed to do. Now, this comes to us thanks to the United States Consumer Safety Commission. which they say, quote, Academy Sports and Outdoors recalls Redfield 12 and 18 gun fireproof safe due to serious injury, hazard, and risk of death. Now here you can see one of the rudimentary design safes. It looks about one level above a Walmart safe, which, again, I don't give financial advice on the show, but depending on the value of your firearms, and if you have, multiple people in your house, you have kids, well, actually, no, a good rule of thumb in life, if you need to protect something with a safe, you usually don't want to cheap out on the safe. That's kind of rule one, I would say. Now, here you can see, let's see. Yeah, it looks pretty small. It's got got one like little here we call it's not the classic dial that you use to open it. It's the dial pad where it has like the plastic numbers that you poke on down. And they say, quote, the issue is the mechanical internal locking plates can fail to align and allow unauthorized users to open the gun safe, posing serious injury, hazard, and risk of death. Well, I would also add something like, and you might lose all your stuff. Because again, the one thing a safe is supposed to do is lock. Even the crappy Liberty safes, which they had a back door for the FBI, even those locked for some people. They would open them for the FBI without a warrant because they're so spineless and leftist. But yeah, even those are locked if like a bad guy were to enter your home. The lock would work. Not well because the FBI could open it, but it would work in general. In this case, it doesn't do the one thing it's supposed to do. It doesn't actually lock. And again, you also have issues where kids can get, you have things where kids might be playing around with the safe, they can get stuck inadvertently, and then there's a lot of negative things that could happen from this. And it looks like it affects about 6,000. Yeah, about 6,100 of these units were sold. And yeah, it looks like the model numbers are, which again, it looks like the serial numbers. The rest of it are, blurred out, but the serial numbers affected. If you want to turn over your safe or tip that over for a second, the 12 gun safe the serial numbers start with a G02B and G03B. Again, it's G02B and G03B for the 12 gun safe. Then you'll have the log serial number after that that's unique to your safe. Then the 18th gun safe is G10A, G11A, G12A, G01B, G02B, G03B, which almost sounds like I'm playing a sad game of bingo. Was your safe screwed? Is it broken? Now, they claim that the stores that sold this were the Academy stores, as well as their online e-commerce, academy.com, sold between February 2024 through August of 2024 between $350 and $600, which, in life, that is a lot of money, don't get me wrong. In terms of the safe, though, personally, I invest more in that, but yeah, that's a pretty aggressively low price point for that type of safe, which, again, there's some good entry-level safes, but also in those cases, you want to be especially careful when you're reviewing and looking at the ones that you might invest in. Now, they say that customers should immediately stop using the safes and return them to Academy Sports, which, yeah, have fun. Again, I'm not sure if you're not aware of safes, they're usually pretty darn heavy. Because, again, you want to pretty much have them be, best safes usually immobile, impossible to break into. That's, again, it's usually just severity. It's not an absolute. That'd be great if we actually have 100% lock, secure safe. Nothing's 100% secure, though. And, yeah, spoiler alert, they're pretty damn heavy. So you got to take all your, these are pretty small in terms of, like, the number of guns you can fit in it. So it's not like a burden to take the guns out. You talk about most Texas gun owners, they probably got 4x the capacity. I'm, partially exaggerating. But, yeah, have fun unloading your safe and hauling that into your truck down to the Academy. You got to pick up the heavy sucker and drive it all the way there in order to get a return or a refund. Or replacement, more accurately. Yeah. You can also call Academy's customer care range replacement. So, it would cost Academy Sports a lot of money to do this. But ideally, what Academy should do, I would argue for long-term, best for the customer, very similar to the Microsoft issue with the Xbox 360 recall back in the day for the Red Ring of Death. Academy should have a program in which they will actually come to you and pick up the safe free of charge. I'm not sure what the profit margins are for safes. That very well might viscerally erase any modicum of profit they would have ever made in the product, and it might make them negative. And again, this affects 6,100 units, so that adds up to aggregate. Again, in terms of doing the customer the right thing, and you're going to be especially paranoid to trust Academy Sports for a safe these days. Again, I would argue that that's not their core competency. They're more of a, they have a fair amount of firearms, but it's more of an all-round sporting goods store that's firearm friendly, which is still the antithesis of stuff like Dick's Sporting Goods, which has basically no guns at all. But yeah, I would still argue on, do what's best for them. Now, they also know that the recall number, if you want to actually call them and don't want to read off your serial number, the recall number is 25-60. Again, 25-60. These are manufactured in Vietnam as well, which, again, a lot of people debate outside of the U.S. manufacturing, usually have a decrease in quality. In many cases, yes, but you also have to remember the iPhone is made in China, India, and a lot of people worship those things because from a manufacturing perspective, they're darn near flawless, or so they say. Also better be for over $1,000 for a phone, but yeah, definitely not good to have this type of recall. And again, the recall number, can't believe they a safe that just doesn't lock properly. The recall number is 25-60. And overall, I'd say Caveat Sports is still a great, place. I've gone there from time to time throughout the years. So I like to try to support Texas-based companies as well. So that's another benefit to why I kind of like them. But yeah, having a safe that doesn't actually, that isn't really a safe. Now you have to return something that weighs, Lord knows how many pounds. Yeah, I gotta say, Academy Sports, that safe recall, that's gotta be the business blunder of the day. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get to 4,000 subscribers by Christmas, so you can click that button. I really appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or a comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.